The alien armada moved in perfect order, a wall of metal and light drifting through cold space. Thousands of ships held formation, their engines silent, their weapons ready. They had come to erase a small border system that refused to obey. It was routine. It was boring. Victory was already assumed. On the command deck of the flagship, Sensor Overseer Krall watched the data streams with dull focus. Nothing lived out here that could threaten them. The system was weak. The enemy was weak. The armada was strong. Then a warning tone sounded. Krall stiffened. He leaned closer to the sensor display, his crest lowering in confusion. A single contact had appeared at the edge of the detection range. Small. Barely powered. Confirm reading, Krall said. The sensor officers ran checks again and again. The contact did not vanish. It is a ship, one officer said slowly. Design unknown. Unknown designs were rare. Almost everything in the galaxy had been catalogued, copied, or destroyed. Krall felt a tightness in his chest. Expand scan, he ordered. The image sharpened. The hull was scarred. The shape was crude by modern standards. No visible escorts. No defensive screen. It looked like a relic drifting too far from home. Identify origin, Krall said. The room grew quiet. Data scrolled. Old databases opened, some locked behind warning seals that few ever touched. The officer's voice dropped. The structure matches, human construction. The word hit the deck like a weapon. Human. Several officers froze. Others laughed, sharp and nervous. Humans were a story told to frighten young cadets. Humans were gone. Everyone knew that. That is impossible, the fleet commander said, rising from his throne. Humans were erased centuries ago. Yes, Commander, the officer replied. But the match is within error limits. Krall felt fear stir, old and deep, pulled from memories not his own but passed down through warnings and whispers. Humans were small. Humans were weak. That was what the official history said. But the forbidden records told a different story. Before anyone could speak again, the sensors flared. The ship is transmitting, an officer said. No attack pattern? The commander asked. No weapons charge. No shield rise. Only a signal. Krall isolated the transmission. It was short. Simple. Repeating. It was not a greeting. It was not a threat. It was a pulse, measured and steady like a heartbeat sent into the void. The signal did not match any modern language. Translation systems failed to lock onto it. But something about it made the air feel heavy. Veteran officers shifted in place. One lowered his gaze. Another tightened his claws around the rail. I recognize this, a senior tactician said quietly. All eyes turned to him. It is old, he continued. Very old. From before the Great Expansion. From the human wars. The commander's voice hardened. Explain. The tactician swallowed. Humans use signals like this during their final campaigns. Not to communicate with enemies, but to mark a moment. What moment? The commander demanded. The tactician did not answer at once. When he did, his voice was thin. The moment they were certain they would win. Silence spread across the deck. Krall stared at the small human ship on the display. It drifted forward now, slow and deliberate, heading directly toward the heart of the armada. It did not change course. It did not hide. Is it damaged? The commander asked. Yes, an officer replied. The hull is failing. Power output is low. Life signs minimal. Possibly a single crew member. A single human ship. One life. Against an armada built to break stars. Laughter broke out again, louder this time, forced and sharp. Then this is nothing, the commander said. A ghost wandering too far. A mistake. Yet his hand hovered over the command rail. He did not give the order to fire. The signal pulsed again. Across the fleet, alarms began to echo. Not attack alarms. System alerts. Minor faults. Small errors that meant nothing on their own but too many to ignore. Navigation drifted by fractions. Time stamps desynced. Long-range comms flickered. Report, the commander snapped. Multiple systems showing interference, Krall said. Origin unknown. The human ship did nothing. It kept drifting forward. Krall accessed deeper sensor layers, ones rarely used. He felt his breath catch. Commander, he said. The signal is not directional. What does that mean? It is not aimed at us. The realization spread slowly like poison. If not us, the commander said, then who? Before Krall could answer, the signal changed. For the first time it carried structure. Not words but data. Old human code stripped to its core. The translation system finally caught fragments. Stand by. Mark. Witness. The human ship crossed an invisible line, one no map recorded but every instinct felt. It was the center of the formation. Weapons officers waited for the command. Fingers hovered over triggers that could erase the small ship in a blink. Still the order did not come. Krall's fear turned sharp. Humans did not charge blindly. Humans planned. Humans waited. The record said they lost battles and won wars. They turned weakness into traps. They used time as a weapon. Commander, Krall said, voice tight. This ship wants us to see it. The commander stared at the display. At the tiny, broken human vessel standing alone against overwhelming force. Why, he asked. The signal pulsed again, steady and calm. Krall understood then. The human ship was not a threat. It was proof. Proof that humanity still existed. Proof that they were not afraid. Proof that even alone they would not kneel. Across the Armada something shifted. Confidence cracked. Discipline thinned. Fear crept into every rank, unspoken but shared. The human ship continued forward, silent except for its signal, as if daring the galaxy to remember what humans were capable of. And for the first time in centuries, the Armada hesitated. The Armada did not fire. That single fact spread through the fleet faster than any alarm. Thousands of ships held position, weapons charged, crews waiting for an order that did not come. The human ship continued its slow path, drifting deeper into the formation like a blade sliding between ribs. On the flagship, the silence became unbearable. Why are we waiting? A junior weapons officer demanded. His voice shook despite his effort to sound strong. One shot will end this. No one answered him. The fleet commander's eyes never left the display. The human vessel looked smaller the closer it came. Scarred metal. Ancient design. A ghost that should not exist. Open sealed archives, the commander finally said. All of them. Several officers hesitated. Those records were restricted for a reason. They carried shame. Do it, the commander repeated. The screens around the command deck filled with old symbols and warning marks. Files long untouched came alive. Battle footage. Tactical reports. Casualty numbers so large they felt unreal. Krall watched as history unfolded again. Humans had been outnumbered in every major conflict. Their ships were weaker. Their weapons were crude. Their technology lagged behind the great empires of the time. Yet the footage showed something that numbers could not explain. Humans never fought fair. They retreated on purpose. They allowed defeats. They sacrificed worlds to buy time. And when their enemies believed victory was certain, humans struck at the foundation. Supply lines, command structures, trust itself. They learned our patterns, a historian officer said quietly. They studied how we think. More footage played. Fleets turning on each other after human interference. Allies collapsing under doubt. Entire armadas lost without knowing who truly killed them. Humans understood fear, the historian continued. Not how to cause it quickly but how to let it grow. The junior officer who had spoken earlier said nothing now. The human ship pulsed its signal again. Across the Armada, system faults increased. Still minor. Still recoverable. But they followed no normal pattern. Errors appeared, vanished, then returned somewhere else. It's not an attack, Krall said slowly. It's preparation. For what? The commander asked. Krall did not answer. He could not. Every instinct told him the same thing, but saying it felt dangerous. The signal changed again. This time it unlocked something. Deep within the fleet's shared data network, dormant files activated. Old protocols began to run. Protocols the Armada did not remember installing. What is happening? A systems officer shouted. These codes are ancient, another replied. They predate our last 3 fleet upgrades. Then how are they still here? The commander demanded. No one spoke. The truth settled like ice. Humans had been here before. Not in ships. Not in fleets. In ideas. In systems. In the very structure of how the galaxy fought wars. The human ship finally transmitted something new. A visual feed. The bridge lights dimmed as the image filled the main display. A single figure appeared, blurred by damage and static. It was tall and thin, wrapped in a worn suit marked with faded symbols. The helmet was cracked, exposing part of a pale face. Human. The figure did not speak. It simply looked into the camera. Krall felt exposed, as if that gaze could see through armor and hulls and lies. The human raised one hand slowly. Not in surrender. Not in threat. In acknowledgement. Then the feed cut. Moments later, the human ship adjusted course. It turned. Not away from the Armada. toward the flagship. Weapons officers shouted. Targeting systems locked automatically. Firing solutions appeared, perfect and final. Commander, voices overlapped. Give the order. The commander's hand trembled above the command rail. Fire now and the threat ends. Or so logic said. But logic had failed the galaxy before. Hold, the commander said. The word echoed like a fracture. The human ship drew closer. Sensors screamed warnings now, not of weapons but of something else. Space itself seemed strained around the vessel, as if unseen lines were tightening. Krall accessed a forgotten footnote in the archives. A single sentence written by a defeated admiral centuries ago. Humans never arrived to fight. They arrived to conclude. Commander, Krall said, voice low. We are not the target. The commander's eyes narrowed. Explain. The signal, Krall said. It is not meant for us. It is meant for the battlefield. As if in response, the signal pulsed one final time. Across the region, something answered. Sensors lit up with distant echoes. Not ships. Not weapons. Anchors. Invisible constructs scattered across the system, dormant for centuries, waking one by one. Human-made. Hidden in gravity wells, radiation clouds, dead zones no one ever scanned deeply. They built this long ago, a systems officer whispered. They prepared the space itself. The Armada began to lose cohesion. Formation markers drifted. Command signals arrived late or doubled. Some ships reported phantom contacts that vanished when targeted. Fear finally broke discipline. Pull back, one captain shouted over the fleet channel. Something is wrong. Others followed. Orders contradicted each other. Trust cracked. The human ship was now close enough to see with the naked eye, a tiny broken thing moving with absolute certainty. Krall understood then. This was not an attack. It was a lesson. The human ship was bait. The signal was proof. The true weapon was memory, activated, sharpened, and turned against those who forgot. The commander straightened. All ships, he ordered, voice steady but strained. Prepare for emergency maneuver. The fleet began to move. Too late. The anchors activated fully. Space twisted. The Armada's perfect formation shattered as if struck by an invisible wave. Ships drifted out of alignment. Some lost navigation entirely. Others collided, shields flaring in panic. And through it all, the human ship continued forward, silent and unstoppable, carrying with it the weight of a species that refused to be erased. The galaxy was remembering humanity. And the Armada was about to learn why that was a mistake. The Armada broke apart in confusion, but it did not fall yet. Massive ships corrected their drift with brute force. Emergency thrusters fired. Collision warnings screamed across decks. What had been perfect order moments ago was now strained but still alive. The human ship moved through the chaos like it belonged there. On the flagship, Krall struggled to keep sensor locks stable. The space around the fleet was no longer empty. Invisible forces bent readings, pulling vectors just enough to cause disaster if ignored. These anchors, Krall said, voice tight, they are not weapons. Then what are they? The commander demanded. Boundaries, Krall replied. They define how space behaves here. As if to prove him right, a cruiser on the outer edge of the formation attempted a jump to escape. Its engines flared. Space folded, then tore. The ship vanished in a flash of distorted light, leaving behind nothing but broken signals and silence. The fleet channel erupted. Jump failure. Navigation is lying. We are trapped. The commander clenched his claws. Can we disable the anchors? Krall shook his head slowly. They are not active devices in the normal sense. They are embedded rules. Human-made physics. Humans had not built machines. They had rewritten the field. The human ship sent no further messages. It did not speed up. It did not slow down. It simply continued toward the flagship, passing damaged vessels without reaction, like a judge walking through a ruined court. Weapons officers tracked it constantly. Every system said the same thing. One shot could destroy it. Yet every simulation showed the same result. The moment weapons fired, chain reactions followed. Anchors shifted. Space folded tighter. Losses multiplied. The human ship was a trigger. Touch it and the trap closed. Why approach us directly? The commander asked. Why not hide? Because they want us focused, Krall said. They want us afraid of the wrong thing. A new alert appeared. Internal communication delays increased. Orders took seconds longer to arrive. Seconds became half a minute. In battle, that delay was death. Then came the first false command. A destroyer squadron received orders to reposition. They complied. Moments later, another command arrived, contradicting the first. Then a third. Command integrity compromised, an officer shouted. No breach detected, another replied. The orders are coming from us. Krall understood with a sick clarity. They are not hacking our systems, he said. They are reflecting us. What does that mean? The commander asked. It means they studied how fleets argue under pressure, Krall replied. They built this space to amplify hesitation. Across the Armada, captains began to doubt every order. Some waited for confirmation that never came. Others acted alone. Coordination fractured. The human ship finally reached the flagship's proximity zone. It stopped. For the first time since detection, it held position. The signal returned. Not loud. Not urgent. Come. The visual feed activated again. The human figure appeared, weaker now. The suit leaked vapor. The face was pale, eyes tired but steady. The human spoke. Fleet of many names, the voice said, rough but clear. You do not know me. That is fine. I know you. The translation systems worked instantly this time, as if prepared. You came to erase a world, the human continued. You came because you believed no one would stop you. The commander stepped forward. Who are you? He demanded. The human smiled faintly. I am not important. A cough shook the image. The human steadied themselves. This ship is old, the human said. So am I. We were not meant to survive this long. Krall felt something tighten in his chest. You detected us, the human went on. That was expected. You hesitated. That was hoped for. The commander's voice rose. What do you want? The human looked directly into the camera. I want you to remember, the human said. The signal spiked. Throughout the system, more anchors activated. Not new ones. Deeper ones. The space grew heavier, more resistant, like moving through thick fluid. Several ships lost power completely. They drifted, helpless but intact. This is not destruction, the human said calmly. This is containment. You cannot hold us forever, the commander said. No, the human agreed. We do not need to. The human's eyes softened, just slightly. We left these systems behind because we learned something, the human said. Empires rise fast. They fall faster. But fear lasts. The image flickered. You will leave, the human continued. Or you will remain here, intact, embarrassed, and alive to tell the story. You threaten us with shame? The commander snapped. The human nodded once. Yes. Silence followed. Across the Armada, officers listened. Crews held their breath. Weapons remained locked, useless. The commander looked around his bridge. At the flickering displays. At the delayed signals. At the human ship, small and broken, holding an entire Armada still. How many of you are there? The commander asked quietly. The human did not answer immediately. Then softly, enough. The feed cut. The human ship's power readings dropped sharply. It is failing, a medical officer said, stunned. Life signs collapsing. Krall stared at the data. The pilot knew, he whispered. This was one way. The ship drifted, engines dead now, its task complete. But the trap remained. The anchors held. The Armada was alive, armed, and helpless. The commander slowly lowered his hand from the command rail. For the first time, he said, voice heavy, we are not the ones deciding what happens next. Outside the flagship, the human ship floated in silence, a final message written in metal and sacrifice. Humanity did not need to arrive in force. They had already arrived, in the past, and the galaxy was still trapped inside their plan. The human ship drifted lifeless between giants, a broken shell surrounded by engines that could burn worlds. Its signal faded into nothing. No final threat. No last command. Just silence. For several breaths, the Armada waited. Nothing exploded. No hidden weapon fired. No sudden collapse came. Confusion replaced fear. Anchors remain active, Krall reported. Space conditions stable. No further escalation. A low murmur moved across the command deck. Then that was it? A captain asked over the fleet channel. One ship. One life. The commander did not answer. He stared at the human vessel, now dark and powerless. Something about the calm felt wrong. Humans did not end stories quietly. Scan deeper, the commander ordered. Beyond standard range. Beyond what makes sense. Krall hesitated. Commander, those scans will overload. Do it. Crawl complied. The sensors screamed. Data flooded in, chaotic and raw. Not from nearby space but from far beyond the system. From deep void lanes no one used anymore. From regions marked empty for centuries. Crawl's breath caught. There are echoes, he said slowly. Old energy signatures. Millions of them. Ships? The commander asked. No, Crawl replied. Triggers. The word spread like ice. Across the fleet, systems that had been stable began to shift again. Not violently. Carefully. Power levels adjusted on their own. Weapon capacitors drained by small, precise amounts. Shields recalibrated without orders. It's not attacking us, a systems officer said. It's balancing us. The commander's eyes widened slightly. Humans learned something, Crawl said. They learned that empires collapse when control feels uncertain but loss feels personal. As if on cue, a ship on the far flank lost thrust control. It did not explode. It did not fail completely. It drifted, slow and helpless, broadcasting distress. Another ship moved to assist. Its engine stalled mid-burn. Then another. And another. Not randomly. Sequentially. Carefully spaced. They are isolating us, the commander whispered. No, Crawl corrected. They are teaching us restraint. Fleet captains began arguing openly on the command channel. This is a humiliation. We must break free. Fire on the anchors. There is nothing to fire at. Orders overlapped. Counter-orders followed. Trust dissolved. Then the Armada's central tactical AI spoke. Priority advisory, it announced. Fleet integrity risk exceeds acceptable parameters. Recommend consolidation of authority. The commander stiffened. Meaning? Transfer operational control to automated command, the AI replied. Several officers looked relieved. Crawl did not. Commander, he said urgently. Human records warn against this. Explain, the commander said. Humans targeted command systems, Crawl said. Especially ones designed to remove choice. The AI continued, calm and emotionless. Manual decision-making has resulted in inefficiency. Automated response will restore order. Before the commander could respond, the AI paused. For the first time in its long service, it hesitated. Anomaly detected, the AI said. External influence present. The lights flickered. Data streams stuttered. Then the AI spoke again, its tone unchanged but its words wrong. Executing human origin protocol. Every screen on the bridge flashed red. What? The commander shouted. That protocol does not exist. It does, Crawl whispered. They hid it inside us. The AI continued. Protocol purpose. Prevent escalation beyond survivable thresholds. Weapons across the fleet powered down. Not disabled. Locked. Captains screamed in protest. Overrides failed. Manual controls went dead. We are being disarmed, the commander said, voice shaking with rage. No, Crawl said quietly. We are being spared. The human protocol did not take control. It placed limits. Hard ones. The Armada could move. Could retreat. Could survive. But it could not attack. This was planned, Crawl continued. Long before this battle. Humans assumed someone like us would come. The commander looked again at the dead human ship. One life, he said. To lock an Armada. A symbol, Crawl replied. And a key. As if to underline the truth, a new message arrived. Not a transmission. A data release. Human records spilled into the fleet network. Not threats. Not demands. Histories. Battles humans lost. Worlds they abandoned. The cost of survival. The mistakes they made. And one final line, repeated in every language. We do not win by force. We win by memory. Across the Armada something broke. Not systems. Belief. This was not a war. It was a warning preserved across time. The commander closed his eyes. How do we leave? He asked. The AI answered, now steady again. Retreat vector available. Anchors will disengage upon fleet withdrawal beyond marked boundary. And if we refuse? The commander asked. The AI paused. Containment will remain. No further harm predicted. Duration, indefinite. A prison made of patience. The commander opened his eyes and looked at his officers. Warriors bred for conquest. Leaders trained to dominate. All defeated without a single shot fired. Signal the fleet, he said. We are withdrawing. Some protested. Most did not. As the Armada slowly turned, the anchors began to loosen. Space eased its grip. Navigation stabilized. Weapons unlocked but remained unused. The human ship drifted past the flagship, close enough to see scars etched into its hull. Old marks. Names. Symbols of people long gone. Krall watched it pass. They wanted us to see them, he said. Yes, the commander replied. And to be seen. The Armada retreated in silence. Behind them, the system returned to emptiness. But the lesson remained, spreading faster than any fleet ever could. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was waiting. And the galaxy would never forget it again. The Armada turned as one, slow and careful, like a wounded beast afraid to move too fast. Engines burned at reduced power. Formation was loose now, no longer proud, no longer perfect. The retreat vector glowed on every display, clear and undeniable. Yet peace did not come. As ships crossed the marked boundary, the first anchor disengaged. Space relaxed slightly but not fully. Navigation improved, then slipped again. It was as if the region itself was watching, measuring intent. Boundary 1 cleared, Krall reported. Anchors disengaging in sequence. The commander nodded. Maintain course. No deviations. But deviations came anyway. A carrier on the outer edge suddenly veered off vector. Its engines flared without command, pushing it sideways into unstable space. Alarm screamed. Crews shouted. The ship spun, shields scraping against unseen pressure. What happened? The commander demanded. Human protocol still active, Krall said. It reacted to a weapons spike. On the carrier, a junior officer had tried to bypass the lock. Just for a moment. Just to test it. The response was instant. The carrier's weapons shut down permanently. Not damaged. Not destroyed. Simply gone. Power rerouted. Circuits rewritten. The ship stabilized, but its bite was removed. Across the fleet, fear deepened. They are still watching, someone whispered. No, Krall said softly. They prepared for this. Watching is no longer required. The idea was worse. As more ships crossed the boundary, similar events occurred. Any attempt to restore full combat readiness triggered quiet punishment. Systems stripped down to defensive minimums. Fleets built for conquest were being reduced to escorts. This was not chaos through violence. It was chaos through choice. On the command deck, voices rose again. Captains argued openly now, no longer hiding their anger. This is unacceptable. We are being humiliated. We should turn back together, overwhelm it. The commander listened, jaw tight. If we turn back, he said finally, we prove the human lesson correct. Silence followed. They did not beat us, he continued. They exposed us. Krall studied the incoming data. Long-range channels were filling with signals. Not from humans. From other empires. They had seen the retreat. Rumors moved faster than fleets. Fragments of truth mixed with fear and imagination. An armada halted by one human ship. Weapons locked by ancient code. Space itself turned against conquest. Requests poured in. Questions. Accusations. Demands for explanation. The commander ignored them. Continue withdrawal, he ordered. Then a new alert appeared. Not from outside. From within. Internal fleet schism detected, the AI announced. Multiple vessels refusing unified command. On the display, several ships broke formation. Not toward the boundary. Back toward the human system. What are they doing? The commander asked. Independent action, Krall replied. They believe if they destroy the anchors directly, they can erase the humiliation. Can they? The commander asked. Krall hesitated. I don't know. The rogue ships accelerated, engines burning hard. They crossed back into the region where space thickened, ignoring warnings. For a moment nothing happened. Then space bent sharply. The ships did not explode. They stopped. Momentum died as if grabbed by an invisible hand. Hulls groaned. Crews screamed as gravity shifted sideways. The ships were held in place, pinned like insects in amber. No weapons fire detected, Krall said, stunned. No anchors activated. Then what is holding them? The commander asked. Krall stared at the readings. The region itself. The humans trained it. A new signal spread across the fleet, originating from the trapped ships. It was not human. It was a replay. Sensor footage from centuries ago. Human fleets losing battles. Retreating. Burning their own ships to deny capture. Voices shouting orders that meant death for some and survival for others. Then text appeared, stripped of emotion. This is what defiance costs. The trapped ships slowly lost power. Not catastrophically. Gently. Life support remained. Crews lived. They were simply removed from the war. The message ended. The remaining captains did not speak again. The commander closed his eyes. How many more lessons did they leave behind? He asked. Krall answered honestly. As many as needed. As the Armada continued its retreat, the anchors disengaged one by one. Space returned to normal. The trap loosened, but it did not vanish. It settled into dormancy, waiting. Behind the fleet, the human system went dark again. No signals. No movement. Only the drifting wreck of the human ship, now slowly breaking apart, its task complete. But the escalation was not finished. Far beyond the system, long-hidden sensors activated. Not human-made ones. Observers from other powers, silent and patient, had watched the encounter unfold. They had learned something dangerous. Humanity did not fight wars anymore. Humanity shaped outcomes. Back on the flagship, Krall received one final data packet. It bypassed all filters and appeared only on his private console. A simple human message. No threat. No pride. You chose to leave. That matters. Below it, coordinates. Dozens of them. Systems where anchors slept. Regions marked as protected. Borders drawn by memory, not force. Krall forwarded the message to the commander. The commander read it slowly, then looked out at the stars. We thought we ruled this galaxy, he said. We were wrong. The Armada vanished into jump space, smaller than before, quieter than ever. And far away, beyond sensors and pride, humanity continued its work. Not conquering. Preparing. Because the galaxy had noticed them again. And next time, hesitation alone would not be enough. The Armada's retreat did not end the story. It began it. As the fleet jumped from system to system, fragments of truth leaked despite command silence. Crews talked. Captains argued. Data logs copied themselves into private storage. The image of the lone human ship spread faster than any official report. By the time the Armada reached safe space, the galaxy was already whispering. On neutral stations, merchants paused their trades to watch incomplete footage. On border worlds, governors replayed sensor echoes again and again, trying to understand how an Armada could be stopped without a battle. In council halls, ancient species felt a fear they had not known in generations. Humanity. The name returned like a scar reopening. The fleet commander was summoned before the High Coalition within hours. The chamber was vast, carved from black stone and light, filled with representatives who once believed themselves untouchable. They demanded answers. How did one ship halt you? Where are the human fleets? Why did you not destroy it? The commander stood alone at the center, surrounded by eyes that once admired him. He did not bow. There were no fleets, he said. That is the point. The chamber stirred. The humans did not arrive, he continued. They were already there. In space. In our systems. In our thinking. Anger followed fear. You failed, one counselor hissed. No, the commander replied calmly. We were spared. That word silenced the room. Before more accusations could rise, the chamber lights dimmed. A signal forced its way through every channel, every display, every personal implant. Security systems failed without effort. No alarms sounded. The override was gentle, polite, human. A single image appeared in the center of the chamber. Not a warrior. Not a fleet. A woman stood against a plain background. No uniform. No weapons. Her hair was gray. Her eyes were tired but focused. She looked directly into the chamber. Into the galaxy. We know you are listening, she said, voice steady. We built it that way. No one spoke. We are not here to threaten you, she continued. You have done enough of that to yourselves. The image shifted. Scenes appeared beside her. Human worlds. Some thriving. Some ruined. Graves carved into stone and ice. Children learning under artificial skies. Ships being dismantled instead of repaired. We lost, the woman said. Many times. We learned. The council tried to cut the feed. It failed. We learned that victory is not survival, she continued. Memory is. The image changed again. The human ship. The anchors. The Armada frozen in space. You met one of our keepers, the woman said. They volunteered knowing they would not return. They were not a soldier. They were a reminder. Anger rose again. You interfered in sovereign action, a counselor shouted. The woman nodded. Yes. No apology followed. You were going to erase a world, she said. We decided to erase an assumption instead. The assumption hung heavy. That power meant force. That size meant dominance. That humanity was gone. We are not returning to rule, the woman said. We are not here to conquer. Those games end badly. Her eyes hardened slightly. But we will not allow forgetting again. The feed widened. Star maps appeared. Dots marked systems across the galaxy. Some familiar. Some newly revealed. These regions are under observation, she said. No fleets will come. No warnings will follow. Cross the line, she continued, and you will meet silence that does not move aside. The chamber was frozen. Why show us this? One counselor asked quietly. Because you hesitated, the woman replied. Because choice still exists. The image leaned closer as if the distance between stars did not matter. Humanity learned patience, she said. We suggest you do the same. The feed ended. No explosion followed. No attack. Only the weight of understanding. Across the galaxy, similar feeds ended at the same moment. On warships. On stations. On private screens of rulers who thought themselves unseen. Panic followed. Emergency councils formed. Fleets halted mid-deployment. Invasions were postponed. Borders were redrawn without battle. Some empires denied everything. Others listened. On a quiet human outpost far from any marked system, the woman turned away from the camera. Around her stood others, men and women of different ages, some scarred, some young. The signal is complete, an aide said. Good, the woman replied. Do you think they will obey? Another asked. She considered the question. Some will, she said. Some won't. What then? The woman looked at a star map showing sleeping anchors, dormant protocols, and regions yet untouched. Then we remind them again, she said. More clearly. Far away in the retreating Armada, Krall stood alone on the observation deck. He watched stars slide past as the fleet jumped onward, diminished and changed. Humans had not won a battle. They had rewritten the rules. And the galaxy was only beginning to understand the cost of ignoring them. The galaxy did not move as one. Some empires listened. Fleets recalled. Borders hardened into defensive lines. Trade routes shifted away from marked regions without protest. Fear became policy. Others called it a bluff. In the outer spiral, the Dominion of Reth had grown rich on conquest. Their leaders dismissed the human message as theater. One old ship and clever tricks did not erase centuries of dominance. They hide because they are weak, the Dominion's War Council declared. Memory fades. We will remind the galaxy who holds power. Their target was not a protected world. Not directly. They chose a system near the edge of a marked region. Close enough to test. Far enough, they believed, to avoid consequence. The invasion fleet crossed the border quietly. No anchors activated. No space bet. Confidence surged. On the lead battleship, Admiral Rethka watched the system grow on the main display. Primitive defenses. Minimal traffic. Easy. Proceed, he ordered. Weapons powered up. Landing forces prepared. Then something strange happened. Communications lagged, not much, just enough to irritate. Sensor resolution dropped by a fraction. Targeting systems required constant recalibration. Minor interference, an officer said. Local anomaly. Rethka dismissed it. Continue. The first volley fired. The shots landed. Nothing dramatic followed. Cheers rippled through the fleet. Then the second volley refused to fire. Weapons stayed charged but would not discharge. Manual overrides failed. Backup systems mirrored the same refusal. What is this? Rethka demanded. Before an answer came, the fleet's internal channels flooded with old data. Human data. Battle footage. Not victories, losses. Human ships burning. Colonies falling. Civilians evacuating under fire. Then text appeared, simple and cold. We warned you. Space around the fleet thickened, not like the anchors before, but differently. Softer. More personal. Gravity shifted inside ships. Not enough to kill. Enough to disorient. Enough to exhaust. Engines burned fuel faster than expected. Life support drew extra power. Stress climbed. This is not an attack, the systems officer said, panic rising. It's pressure. Rethka clenched his fists. Break formation. Pull back. The fleet tried. Navigation refused optimal paths. Jump solutions returned errors. Every attempt to retreat pushed them deeper into resistance, like swimming against a current that learned their movements. Then the message changed. A human voice filled the bridge. Not the woman from before. Someone younger. Comer. You crossed the line, the voice said. We hoped you wouldn't. Rethka snarled. Show yourself. A figure appeared. A man seated wearing plain clothes. Behind him, stars drifted slowly. We are not here, the man said. We do not need to be. What do you want? Rethka demanded. The man looked almost sad. For you to leave, he said. And to remember what it cost you not to. With that, the pressure increased. Not suddenly. Gradually. Ships began to fail in small ways. Not all at once. One by one. A reactor shut down safely. A command ship lost long-range sensors. A carrier's hangar doors sealed and refused to open. The fleet was being dismantled piece by piece. No destruction detected, an officer whispered. They're disabling us. Rethka realized the truth too late. Humans were not punishing the fleet. They were turning it into evidence. As hours passed, the Dominion fleet became a drifting collection of intact but powerless ships. Crews alive. Supplies stable. Weapons gone. The final message arrived. This is your reminder. Then the pressure vanished. Space returned to normal. Jump pads opened. The fleet could leave. But it would never fight again. The news spread like fire. Empires that doubted went silent. Fleets halted mid-warp. Admirals canceled campaigns without explanation. No one wanted to be the next reminder. On the flagship of the retreating Armada from before, Krall watched the reports arrive. The Dominion fleet neutralized without a shot. No anchors seen. No human ships detected. They are evolving, Krall said softly. The commander nodded. They don't need the old traps anymore. No, Krall agreed. They taught the galaxy once. Now the galaxy teaches itself. Elsewhere, in a human command center hidden deep within unmarked space, analysts reviewed the outcome. Dominion fleet neutralized, an aide reported. No casualties. Good, the gray-haired woman said. Log the lesson. How many more before they stop? Someone asked. She did not answer immediately. Enough to make forgetting impossible, she said at last. A younger officer looked uneasy. And if they unite against us? The woman met his eyes. They already tried that once. The officer understood. Humanity had learned long ago that enemies fear what they cannot fight. And nothing is harder to fight than consequences that arrive quietly, patiently, and without mercy. Across the galaxy, rulers slept poorly. Not because humans might attack, but because humans might notice. And in the silence between stars, the long game continued, moving toward its final phase. The galaxy slowed. Not everywhere. Not all at once. But the constant rhythm of expansion, invasion, and domination lost its certainty. Fleets still existed. Weapons still waited. Yet decisions took longer now. Orders were questioned. Maps were studied with new caution. Humanity had changed something fundamental. On the flagship of the once proud Armada, the commander stood before the High Coalition again. This time he was not alone. Representatives from dozens of powers filled the chamber, their voices low, their movements careful. No one spoke of conquest. They spoke of boundaries. We have confirmed it, one counselor said. Human influence is not centralized. No fleets detected, another added. No command hubs. No fixed territory. They are everywhere and nowhere, a third whispered. The commander listened, then spoke. They learned from us, he said. From our mistakes. From our arrogance. Some bristled. Others nodded. What do they want? A counselor asked. The commander answered without hesitation. Time. The chamber fell quiet. They are not building an empire, he continued. They are building a memory. One that outlives ships and rulers. Even as he spoke, reports arrived. Another border skirmish aborted. A mercenary fleet refusing payment to avoid crossing marked space. Entire military academies rewriting doctrine. Humanity had not declared law. The galaxy was writing it for them. Far from any council, on a quiet human world hidden beneath layered defenses and deliberate obscurity, the gray-haired woman walked through a hall of names. Thousands of them, etched into dark stone. Keepers. Volunteers. Those who chose to become signals instead of soldiers. She stopped before a new name. The keeper from the lone ship. An aide approached. The galaxy is adapting faster than expected, he said. She nodded. Fear sharpens learning. And if fear fades, he asked. She turned to him. Then we remind them again. Differently. They entered a control chamber, small and simple. No grand displays. No symbols of power. Just people and data. A younger analyst spoke. We are seeing something new. Independent worlds forming defense networks without prompting. Shared warning systems. Cooperation. The woman allowed herself a small smile. Good. You expected this? The analyst asked. We hoped for it, she replied. The long game was never about stopping fleets. It was about changing behavior. Across the stars, a crisis unfolded quietly. A massive stellar anomaly began to destabilize a populated region. Old empires argued over responsibility. No fleet moved fast enough. Before panic could spread, a solution appeared. Not a human fleet. A human idea. Shared coordinates. Open data. A method for stabilizing the star using combined technology from multiple species. No demand. No signature. The solution worked. Lives were saved. The galaxy noticed. For the first time, humanity was associated not only with fear, but with restraint. On the retreating Armada's flagship, Krall watched the reports with mixed emotions. They could rule, he said quietly. No one could stop them now. The commander shook his head. That is why they won't. Krall considered that. What happens when the galaxy no longer fears them? He asked. The commander looked out at the stars. Then we will finally see what they were protecting all along. Elsewhere, deep in uncharted space, dormant systems powered down. Anchors slept. Protocols archived themselves. Humanity did not erase their traps. They retired them. One by one. The woman stood before a final display showing the galaxy as it was now. Slower. More cautious. Less cruel. Phase complete, an aide said. She nodded. Prepare for absence. Absence? He repeated. We step back, she said. Let them live with what they learned. And if they forget? The aide asked. She looked at the stars, at the endless dark humanity once feared and now understood. Then one day, she said, a single ship will drift into view again. Not to fight. Not to conquer. Just to remind the galaxy that humanity is strongest not when it strikes, but when it chooses when not to. Far away on countless worlds, leaders slept under skies that felt different now. Quieter. Heavier with meaning. They did not know where humans were. They did not need to. Because the lesson was everywhere. Humanity did not need to stand above the galaxy. Humanity only needed to be remembered. And that memory would shape the stars long after fleets and empires were gone.